that's not the same as just giving. And I love that our chapters raise money at the chapter level to find those nonprofits or emerging leaders at that city chapter level to give back. And when I see the generosity of our members, it's just another measure for me that, we're attracting the right tribe.
And it is interesting, like the psychology of somebody who's opting in for free versus the psychology of a person who's willing to pull out their credit card and pay $17 and just the type of person that attracts. In the long run, that $17 audience converted so much higher than the larger free audience.
Yeah, to be clear, if you're not getting any visitors or no one is responding to anything that you're doing, that's a number you want to pay attention to.
Welcome to She Means Millions. We've got a really special episode for today because this is really about a topic that I think a lot of entrepreneurs are afraid to talk about. So I'm going to challenge you, unless you're in the financial industry, do not turn off this episode because you need to hear it, right?
But even if you're in the financial industry, you need to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But the ones who aren't are probably going to have an adverse reaction at first.
Okay.
At least that would be for me, because for years I was scared to look at my own numbers. I mean, I failed algebra 2 in high school. Like, I was not a numbers girl. I got into an industry that I was thinking would never have to require me to look at numbers, but little did I know that was basically just like driving with my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
And so to really grow a successful business, you're going to have to figure out how and why to look at numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so this topic actually was another request from a YouTube commenter wanting to kind of know from us, like, what numbers do you pay attention to? Like weekly, daily, monthly, yearly, and what do you ignore? Because they don't all matter and you don't have to look at all of them all the time. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you feel really confident and empowered and excited to embrace those numbers, because if I can figure out how to get excited and embrace numbers, I know all of you can get excited about how to
Let me
embrace
tell you,
numbers.
Brianna, you've done what do you call that? A 180?
Yeah.
A 360?
360 is right back to where you started.
Oh, okay.
So 180.
Well, you could turn around and be a whole new person, I think Wonder Woman did that. Anyway, but the point of the matter is you've done a whole whatever you want to call it about numbers. I mean, you're more numbers driven. I mean, I think about our weekly EGT, which, by the way, stands for Executive Growth Team, focusing growing. So if you want to grow, you've got to look at how you can measure whether you're actually growing or not, knowing that, activity isn't a measure of growth.
Mhm.
We can be very busy doing things that result in absolutely nothing. And so we look at our numbers weekly. And then, of course, at the end of the month, the first Monday, we look at it very deeply because we look at the total for the month. But if you want great numbers at the end of the month, you got to be tracking to make sure that you deliver on that. And the last thing to do is to wake up 2 days before the end of the month and say, damn,
Crap.
crap. It was
How am I going to get there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you've become a metrics queen.
Well, it's fun when you understand what they mean and how they apply to your goals,
Yeah.
But no, when I started entrepreneurship, I did not like looking at the bank account. I did not like knowing the numbers. I just was like, let me just go out and make as much money as I can. Just kind of spray and pray it's going to all work out, And that worked up until an extent. But when it comes time to really get serious about growing and scaling a business and growing a team, like, you've got to really understand and know how you're doing and what you're doing. And it's not even just financial numbers. It's like your digital marketing numbers,
Sure.
because
even the financial numbers. I mean, honestly, financially, probably twice a month do I really look at. I'm looking at impact. What are the numbers that are directly correlated to impact? And I know that if we're making an impact, the bank account is taking care of itself.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's even a different way than maybe some people look at it. Yes, I look at the bank account, no doubt about it. But I know that what we really measure and spend time on as a team is, where are we having an impact? So let's talk about how we know we're making an impact. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So one of them is that we measure how many unique people are coming to our website every month.
Yeah. And so this is interesting because there's two metrics that we get from our SEO team. It's unique visitors, and then it is total visitors. But the uniques it's interesting because you could have the total number of visitors as a lot higher of a number than the uniques, but the uniques are the ones that we pay the most attention to because those are individual IP addresses. So you might have one person that comes to your website multiple times in the month, but that will count as a total visitor versus the individual IP addresses. So we love looking at our uniques. We love looking at the click-throughs to certain pages. We love looking at the conversion of those pages. And ultimately, that is how we are measuring the growth of our success of our ad campaign, our website work, everything that we do.
How long they stay on a page.
Mm-hmm.
What you get rid of because they're not looking at it, they're not paying attention to it, which is, what they're not paying attention to is equally as important as what they are paying attention to.
Amen.
Get it out of there.
That we can see where they're going.
Hotjar.
Hotjar. That can be an addictive tool.
Now that for me became a distractor because it was just so. I mean, so what it would tell you is where people were from. So if they were somewhere in Europe, it would tell us where, and then we could literally watch them with their mouse.
Yeah,
you could watch them literally reading. Click on the blog, and then a lot of people read with their mouse, reading the blog when they stopped,
where they clicked,
when they aborted a page, where they went to, which was
being
really
on a meeting
good.
with you and looking at it and analyzing it. And it's interesting. It can be a time suck because you can get sucked into the fascination of seeing like live users on your site and how and where they're navigating.
Yeah.
But you're really good at looking and being like, well, nobody's clicking on this call to action button. So A, why is it here? Or B, does the copy need to change?
Yeah. We've made some real strategic decisions on our website. The redoing the whole managing director page, right?
Right.
Was a thing that you led because you said they're not staying long enough. Kind of thing.
Yeah. When they're not paying attention, listen, here's my philosophy about it really is first of all, if it's hard to read, you're not getting it, get rid of it. I mean, if it's not serving any kind of purpose, all it's doing is taking up space, and it is a fact, people don't, I don't want to make a blanket statement and say people don't read, but listen, people don't read.
Yeah.
Are they the culprit or are you the culprit?
Culprit.
Because you're not serving them up the way they want to be served.
Yeah.
They want to read it fast. They want to get it quickly. And people make things too complicated. I mean, I would say the number one thing that I find that I've got to fix more than anything else is the language.
Yeah.
Constantly fixing what's being communicated. Is it smooth? Is it fast? Is it coming across the right way?
One of the things that you say all the time, Kym, that is a secret sauce for you. And I want to reveal it to everyone else here because I think this is foundational to your power as a branding expert. And that is that you always say, we have to sell the way the customer buys.
Yeah.
Not what we like, not what we want to say, not how we want to say it, not all the things that we want to say, but how is the customer buying? And we have to adapt to that.
Yeah.
And that's been just so important in our evolution and growth and ultimately our numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got to be willing really to talk to your people, the people who are doing your website or your customers. I believe, again, no is just as important as yes. Mm-hmm. And if I get a no, I want to find out why. I really go out of my way to find out where do we miss the mark? Where, I don't need to buy from you right now. Mm-hmm. I just want to ask you for some help. I really would like to know. And this has happened. You've seen this happen in real time. I had a company, big company, and I gave them a proposal and they turned me down. And I called them back. I got her voicemail and said, listen, I'm not calling to try to get the contract back or what I am calling for is I'd love your and would appreciate your help in identifying where I missed it. Mm-hmm. Where did I go wrong? What could I have done better? That would help me more than anything. And she did. And in that particular case, it was just the budget. It was strictly money, which became one of my personal taglines. I used to say, now, I'm not going to let money interfere with us having a great relationship.
Right. It's a great
I'm not
line.
going to let money get in the way of what could be fantastic for us. So let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
These are the little savvy things, Kym, that you don't even know that that you don't realize how masterful they are. That when I listen to you, I find myself extracting these little nuggets of things to share here on this show, because they are the little things that add up to changing everything. Just let's not let money get in the way kind of thing. You have to sell the way your customer buys. Very, very powerful.
Well, one of the things that I really enjoy about collaborating with you on the creative and the marketing side, especially, is one of our core values at eWomen Network is continuous improvement.
Yeah.
So we're constantly looking at the website. It's like once you have a website, a lot of people think, oh, I've got a website now, done. Nope, you're never done.
You're
It's
never
never done.
you're never done.
And so we're constantly looking at how to improve the website. But what I enjoy is being able to bring in the metrics, and say, well, this page is getting this much traffic. Do we have a call to action on this page? Is there something that we want them to do? Is there a lead capture? Like, how are we strategically driving the goals and the metrics and working together on that, and not just fixing things for the sake of fixing things, but fixing things that actually need the attention?
Yeah.
And I think that is where knowing the numbers really comes into play, because if you don't know how many visitors you're getting versus how many, bounces you're getting, or how many visitors versus opt-ins you're getting, if there's an opt-in on the page, you can't appreciate your conversion rate, and therefore you don't really know how you're performing, because you might be saying to yourself, oh, my opt-in, my website's really not working. I only got like 5 opt-ins. Well, maybe you only had like 100 visitors on your page.
Mm-hmm.
So like, really, what are those metrics? You can't decipher if you don't have the full picture. And so if it might not be the opt-in that's broken. Maybe it's the landing page that's broken, or vice versa. Maybe it's not the landing page. The landing page, in our case, a lot of the times is driving the traffic, and we have to work hard to make sure that we're capturing that lead when they come,
Do you feel like you're drowning in your business? Like you're doing everything and something has to give, but you're afraid it might be you? What if I told you there's a network of over 500,000 women entrepreneurs, all dedicated to supporting each other? A network of women helping women. I'm Sandra Yancey, founder of eWomen Network, and I'm inviting you to join us and become a member. eWomenNetwork.com. We can't wait to meet you. Let's tell them about another thing that I think is so perfect about it. If we didn't look at the numbers, we wouldn't know. So we have our international conference coming up in August, and of course we have the conference website, the EWNIcon.com website. And what's important is that you have been looking at the numbers, and you came to the EGT, the Executive Growth Team, if you're just tuning in, and said, hey, listen, we have a dozen or so people who have actually gone to the cart to buy a ticket. And they haven't. We don't know whether they got interrupted, or, what kind of distraction, why they left. Is the tab still open on their computer? They haven't come back to it, or they changed their mind. We don't know.
Yeah, that's what's cool about our CRM is you can see who started the process and then left the process.
And you have their email address.
Yeah, and we have their email address. So now we've got a retargeting campaign specifically for those people. Like, hey, did you forget something?
Yeah.
Something get in the way? Well, just in case you need a little nudge, we're going to have X, Y, and Z come in. So you want to be there,
And if you're listening to this, what would it mean to you to add 10 people who's not a cold market? They're clearly a warm market because they said at some point, I think I want to do this.
Yeah.
So they know enough information. They've talked to somebody, they've read it on your website, or a combination, they've seen your ads, or they're watching you on social media, whatever, or multiple sources they came from. They came to your website. They started to fill out something. You have their email address. If you weren't measuring that,
yeah, we wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And now we're retargeting, and now we'll measure how many of those 12 people are going to convert.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, to see if our retargeting worked. I mean, these are the little things that's low-hanging fruit for you. How much easier is it to attempt to fix something that of somebody who's already expressed an interest? You don't know about it because they haven't called you, they haven't emailed you, they haven't DM'd you, they've taken action on your website because you're not looking. You don't know that you need to go after
And
them.
that's actually a strategy piece that I would love to expand on a little bit more, because I don't think a lot of people know that when you're creating a checkout for people, you can actually do a 2-step checkout, where first you're capturing their contact information and then you collect their card information. But it's 2 steps. And that way you're always capturing their contact information. And then if they're really committed, they're going to follow through with their credit card. But sometimes people will do something like start a process and then they're like, oh, I don't have my credit card on me right now, I'll come back to it. And then they never do. Or maybe they're like a little hesitant about whipping out their credit card if they need a little bit more of a nudge. But if you haven't captured the lead on that first step of that 2-step checkout, you lose the opportunity to do that.
You have a 1-year-old, and the 1-year-old fell, bumped his head, screaming, I got to go get the kid. And then you get distracted, and the next thing you know, I mean, you don't know what's caused people, you know, and sometimes they just need to know you've noticed, that you see them, that they matter, that you valued that they came. You know, little acknowledgement goes a long way today, right? Very powerful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was particularly because we're actively in our conference campaign, I look at those metrics. I look at the conference website traffic and the conversion daily. I want to know daily how we're doing, and the retargeting, how many people we're retargeting every single day. So that's a daily thing for me right now. It won't be once the conference is over. But can we talk a little bit about like daily and weekly? Like what numbers do you look at every day? Do you have a daily number?
I do look at every day. I look at the membership numbers every day because, you know, we have managing directors, and I text message my every single managing director for every website sign up.
Wow.
So I will notice what time someone joined at 2:00 in the morning, not at 2:00 in the morning the next day. And then I will reach out to my managing director as a quick text and just say, well, you've got a new member that's clearly a night owl, because in the middle of the morning, Susie Q joined your chapter. Congratulations. Glad to pop in and give you some good news to start the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm, you know, or I'll do just the opposite, you know, you've got a member that's clearly the early bird, you know, at 5:05 this morning, and you know, I mean, what's the better use of my time to acknowledge the member, to know the member, to you know, plug in her name and to acknowledge my managing director. I mean, you know, people want to be seen, known, and you know what? A lot of times these managing directors share that. The CEO in Dallas texted me and told me that you joined, noticed that you joined. I mean, they're touch points. It's not just the number, it's the touch points. But I know with the membership numbers, because we have a goal every single month, and I want to see how we're tracking. And not every week is the same, because our events and our, you know, whether they be our live events, our accelerated networking events, or whether we do a master class or what, I mean, they will drive, but we have a ballpark on things. And I want to know on a regular basis that we are on track. You know, so those are like little daily things, but then we report those every week too.
Right.
You know, at the EGT for sure.
Love that.
I also look every day at how much money has been donated to the foundation.
Really?
I do. Every day. I know the generosity of our members. It is so powerful to me to know that, you know, my mother used to say, you know, giving isn't giving until you can help someone who can never pay you back. You know, when you're doing something for someone and it's quid pro quo, or you scratch my back, or I'll scratch yours, and all the tit for tat kind of stuff, that's not the same as just giving. And I love that our chapters raise money at the chapter level to find those nonprofits or emerging leaders at that city chapter level to give back. And when I see the generosity of our members, it's just another measure for me that, you know, we're attracting the right tribe.
Yeah, I love it.
Because at our conference, we give away, you know, a lot. It's why we've been named an American hero by CNN. We give away a lot of money at the aggregate level, and it's very heartwarming for me.
Oh, for sure. No, it's beautiful.
And metaphorically, can I just say, I also feel like, how can you expect somebody to show up and help you if you're not showing up and helping somebody else?
Yeah.
And so it isn't a quid pro quo kind of thing. It is, you just do good things because you can. It's the right thing to do. You're in a position to do that. And you can expect the law of reciprocity to come back and serve you tenfold.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Are there any numbers that people you think get caught up in that aren't important or relevant? Like, is there anything that pops out to you as like a waste of time?
Yeah, well, if it makes sense, first of all, to be clear, if you're not getting any visitors or no one is responding to anything that you're doing, that's a number you want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because that's clearly indicates what I'm doing is not working, the approach I'm taking. Like, I did a test one time with a program that I have and created a free program that they could come and see. And I took the exact same thing and added, I think, $17 or $20 to it. And the money went to the foundation. All right. So it was a free, take this quick little webinar. And it was really about, how to position yourself to get clients, in an email. And so what was fascinating to me is that the one with the foundation did pull the most people, and they also had no problem paying for it. And it was a small price. See, I have a philosophy. If I do something and it's $10 or $17 and you don't want to pay for that, you don't think it's worth that, then I don't either. All right. So pay attention to that for a second. If you don't think it's worth it, I don't either. And that means that I need to do something to make it of value to you. Now, a lot of people have different ways of doing this where they do things for free, and then the upsell is on a replay or something like that. And different formulas work depending on who you are and what you're trying to do. We've always opted for the quality. We've always gone the quality route instead of the free route.
Right.
Because it takes more. There's more involved,
It's really interesting. You're reminding me of something really fascinating that we experimented with. And I think it was around 2020. And we were doing Facebook challenges. We were doing 5-day Facebook challenges, and we ran 2. So we ran the Profit Priority Challenge, which was hosted by Sandra. And it was a 5-day Profit Priority, $17 challenge, $17, and then $47 for the replay. And we had pretty great attendance for it, and a really great conversion for it. So then we decided to test a free challenge. So I ran a free 5-day content creator challenge. I don't think that's what it's called, but regardless, it was a free 5-day challenge. And what was fascinating when we looked at the numbers was the free challenge had way more registrations, like significantly more. We had a big pop in our list growth, but the long term was the conversion. It didn't convert as high as the Profit Priority Challenge, which had a fraction of the people register, but they were serious business owners. They really showed up. They really played full out. And it is interesting, like the psychology of somebody who's opting in for free versus the psychology of a person who's willing to pull out their credit card and pay $17, and just the type of person that attracts. In the long run, that $17 audience converted so much higher than the larger free audience.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
we wouldn't know that if we weren't looking at the numbers, but it was fascinating to really pull back that curtain, because now we just don't do things for free.
Yeah.
It's okay if it has smaller attendance. We're not looking, we're luckily at a stage in business where we don't need that much bigger of a list. Sure, we're always growing the list, but it's not like we're hurting to grow
it's
our
quality
list.
over quantity.
Exactly.
We've graduated from, this was a hard lesson for me. But I got it. I do think that when you talk to everybody, you're talking to no one. And at one particular time, we were just throwing the net out, if you will. If you were a woman in business, you're our gal kind of thing,
Right.
And what I've realized is that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
And we really are looking for those women who want to make a big impact in the world, and such that they want to achieve the $1 million level, because they know that that's they divide that $1 million by the number of their program or their customer price, and they see how many people they have served. And so it is different talking to people who are a little bit more hobbyists versus people that are really trying to build, an enterprise, a business that they could potentially even sell, because that's the one thing we'll all have in common, either by choice or circumstance. One day we won't be doing what we're doing. And the question is, most business owners, when they're done, they just close up shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And versus others that, are prepared to sell their business or sell an aspect of their business. Somebody may not buy your whole business, but they might buy your IP. They might buy your list. I mean, think about the companies that have approached us to buy eWomen Network. And of course, we're not for sale, but the things that they've told us they've been interested in. And so what I've realized is, if you did kind of the ocean comparison, we used to throw out a net, whatever we could catch in the net. Any minnow, shells, live fish, dead fish. I mean, the whole thing, just throw out the net and pull in and see what you get. Now we're really clear that, we're going after like a lobster. And if you know anything about lobsters, is you don't even use a net, you use a cage, right? So you have to change everything based on who you know is your right fit client.
Right.
And be okay that when you've got a cage, all the little fish and all the minnows and all the things, they're going to go through the cracks of the cage. But that's not who your real right fit client is anyway. And being okay with releasing that which is not really serving you anyway.
Yeah. So I'm going to do something here with our audience. The program that I did that experiment with was called Truth Lead.
Oh, yeah.
It is a powerful program. I used it with all of my sponsored relationships. And I've written the whole thing out. And I'm going to give it to our listeners.
Can I put in context how powerful this is?
Yeah, I want you to do that. Yeah, set that up.
Because this is Kym's formula. This is a true, formula that he uses whenever he does an outreach to a potential sponsor. And let me just tell you, he has closed, I think, maybe 785,000 deals. Sponsors, with this. I mean, clearly 6 figures, but high 6 figures, close to $1 million just in corporate sponsors, over and over and over again. And you've really put together this like formula for doing it, and you call it Truth Lead.
Yeah. And it walks you through it. I mean, it's just, and I've sold this program. It was in that test that I do. In fact, I think it would be great for you, Sandra, one day to teach it. Really, because of your teaching style. But I'm going to give it away. I'm going to send it to you. So
put in the comments if you would love to have a training on.
Oh, how about this? We'll put a link in the show notes. So if you want to grab the Truth Lead, we'll drop a link in the show notes. We'll make it ewn.news/truth, just to make it easy. Truth Lead. ewn.news/truth. We'll set it up in the show notes, or you can go to the link and grab it, and we'll get that all set up.
It's easy to read. It's simple and
I'm going to tell you, it's worth millions.
Yeah.
It's worth millions.
It's literally generated millions.
on top. Yeah.
So repeat again what they've got to do.
Just go to ewn.news/truth, and that link will be in the show notes.
All right, there you have it.
Awesome. Well, hey, I feel like this was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. It's been fun talking numbers.
We got more numbers to talk about, but just so much at a time to digest, right?
Yeah, I agree. Because she doesn't just mean business.
She means millions.